Hey guys, Furum here, and today I'm going to be testing the Lamborghini Miura at Golden Max in Asphalt 9 multiplayer. Please consider subscribing if you have not already, and be sure to check out my Furum Clips channel, Furum TV channel, Purple Team Discord. Links to all those will be down in the description, and I hope you enjoy the video. It's worth noting that this is the Miura Concept, not the production version that we have in Asphalt 8, which I will be talking a little bit about later. But the Miura, it's a fairly high-end C-Class car, has a decent top speed of around 220 to 225 miles per hour, and on that note, it's a whole lot easier now for me to be able to tell how fast a car is going to go, because 5 years nearly after the game's launch, in its 5th anniversary update, we finally have the ability to see the car's stats in the garage in miles per hour. Now, I know that a large percentage of my viewers use kilometers per hour. I know you guys always tell me down below to use kilometers per hour, but me being a silly American, use miles per hour. And now I can finally see that inside the garage. As you could tell at the beginning of this video, you could see that for top speed it says 215, so 215 miles per hour without nitro efficiency, or without the nitro I should say, and nitro usually adds somewhere around 8 to 10 miles per hour depending on the car. I found that if you're in a faster car like an S-Class car, it maybe adds a little bit more, so I just usually average it around 8 or 9, and so that's how I get my estimate. But this car goes 224, so that's about 9 extra miles per hour added to this car. Now, we still cannot see how much miles per hour the car gets from nitro, but I guess GameLoft figured since pretty much every car gets around the same amount from, or extra speed from it, it makes more sense to show the nitro efficiency in the garage. And I tend to agree with that. Would be cool to see the exact nitro too at some point, just so we could tell which cars actually maybe had slightly better nitro extra speed than others. But that's enough about the speed of this car. How are the rest of its stats? Well, unfortunately, they are not too good, which keeps this from being a great C-Class car. In particular, the acceleration is only 72, which is incredibly bad for anything but a D-Class car, and that would be pretty bad even in D-Class. So that's certainly not doing it any favors. In Go Slipstream, that didn't really come into too much of a play because you can just surf someone's Slipstream for a while, but in regular races, it's a little bit of an issue. The other thing is that the car's nitro efficiency is not it's not the best. I mean, it's not the worst either. It's around 60, but I just found that it was certainly not one of the strong points of the car, and I was running out of nitro a lot quicker than I would have liked to. Now, on the positive side, the handling and drifting is pretty good. I'd say it's at least average or above average. I had no issues with the agility of this car on that front. The first 3 races in this video were recorded in the Lamborghini season, so against cars like the SC20, the Egoista, the Scion, etc., and the Murcielago. Most of these cars are either slightly better to quite a bit better than mine. Thankfully, none of them were an extremely large amount faster. I mean, even the Scion, an S-Class car, only goes maybe 20 maximum miles per hour faster than me. So because of that, you know, even though I may not have won a ton of races, and I was able to get podium in a good chunk of them. Now, the last 3 races in this video, so the second half, after this one here, they're going to be in the Apollo Evo season. So I was testing against cars like, well, the Apollo Evo, the Razor Tachyon, and so on. And so I did get maybe more of a variety in those races, but overall I was pleasantly surprised with how this car performed. I wasn't able to use it in obviously very high of leagues, because once you get to that point, the car speed just is not good enough to compete against these cars that go 10 to 20 miles per hour faster than it. But in lower leagues, such as I played in here, it did decently well. Now, I do not own this car, so I'm not able to tell you how it does in regular multiplayer, but also, even though I do not own the Panamera, I will be making a video about the Panamera soon, and got some people who've given me some races in that, so that should be interesting. I did want to test it also in this season here. You could actually see one in this race, but unfortunately, the car was even slower than this one, like 10 miles per hour slower. I was able to get no good races. I just got trounced every time, because you could use Evos and Razors right away, and there's no way Panamera is going to keep up with that. As good as it is, in its class. The speed was not good enough to keep up with these cars in Ghost Slipstream, where you really need a decently fast car to do any good at all. Now, I did try to win the Miura when it first came out a little over a year ago in the Raging Bull season. It actually was in the very first Looper Prix, which was very interesting. And because it was the first one, I did not know very well how to do a Looper Prix, so that plus just not wanting to spend any tokens on the car, didn't end up being able to get it. But it did give some good practice for Looper Prix in the future, and honestly, I hope we get more. The Looper Prix is one of the coolest sorts of new game modes we've got, and I don't think we've seen in another Asphalt game. And it's honestly one of the best and most inventive ways to use the idea of Slipstream, with your Ghost having Slipstream. I just think that's super cool, and I honestly hope they do more of them, because Slipstream just in general is one idea that, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think we've seen anything like this in any previous Asphalt game. And it's one of the things that kind of sets Asphalt 9 apart, because at this point, it's really known as being part of the game. I know a lot of people don't necessarily like it. A lot of people in my comments say it's their least favorite kind of multiplayer season. I tend to disagree because I like using faster cars, and faster cars are better in Ghost Slipstream. But yeah, I just think it's a lot of fun, and it does make it especially challenging when you are in slower cars that maybe are more agile, such as I'm in right here. Definitely gives a bit more of a challenge, and could be a bit more fun in some instances because of that. Like here, we're coming up toward the end of this race on Scotland, but this Apollo Evo and this Razor right behind me, we're able to win though, just barely. Now, this car back in Asphalt 8, or the production version, I should say, was one of the very first, I guess, multiplayer tuned cars that I really did in that game. I think the biome was before this. The Miura was similar to the biome in terms of its speed and performance in its bracket around 1350 or so. I did make a video about both of these cars, plus the Camaro around that rank. The Camaro was even better, but the Miura was my favorite car to use in Asphalt 8 multiplayer for quite a while, so it definitely has some nostalgia for that. Got a few other videos coming soon as well. I'll finally be making my Ares S1 video after a long wait, I know, but we're also going to be getting that Panamera video soon that I talked about earlier. We're also going to be getting a video about the new Di Tommaso P27. I also plan to make videos about the new Porsche 935, a very interesting looking car for sure, and the Cento di Ecce, which is also in the current season. Somehow I've never actually made a video about it before. Is this really the first season that it's had a max free try-in, or am I just tripping? Anyway, I have not made a video about it before, so I'm looking forward to that. We currently have a special event going for the Di Tommaso P27. Of course, I'm going to try my best. Don't really think I'm going to be able to get the car, but as I always do, I'm at least going to try to get as many rewards as I can. Now it's time for my general review of the Miura. It is a fairly high-end C-Class car, got decent top speed, drifting, and handling, but the acceleration and nitro aren't very good and keep this car from being great. Thank you all so much for watching. Please like the video if you have enjoyed, and consider subscribing for more Asphalt, Forza, Minecraft, and other games content. And I will see you in my next video. Goodbye!